This guy, with a dusty hat, a leather vest, and a giant knife, became one of the most recognizable movie characters of the 1980s. Charm, crocodiles, and one unforgettable line. So how did a movie no one expected become one of the most profitable comedies ever made? Let's go back to the beginning. Part 1. Inspired by the Wild. Our story begins in 1977. Rod Ansell, a cattleman from Australia's Northern Territory, went on a solo fishing trip in one of the most remote areas of the country. When his boat capsized, he found himself completely alone. With no communication and no rescue in sight, Ansell survived for 2 full months. He slept in trees to avoid crocodiles. He hunted wild animals and drank cattle blood to survive. He even filtered water through a sock. By the time he made it back, his story had become a sensation across Australia. The press labeled him the real Crocodile Dundee. But Ansell wasn't the one who brought the character to life. That came from Paul Hogan, a comedian, TV personality, a national icon in Australia. Hogan saw Ansell's survival as the spark for something more, a movie about a man completely out of place, both in the wild and later in the city. Part 2, from survival tale to screenplay. Paul Hogan wasn't a trained actor, but he was a storyteller. He teamed up with John Cornell and Ken Shady to co-write a screenplay, mixing the rugged reality of the outback with fish-out-of-water comedy and just enough heart to make it unforgettable. The lead role, Mick Dundee, would be everything audiences didn't expect: laid back, funny, fearless, and surprisingly thoughtful. Hogan insisted on playing the role himself and financing it outside of the Hollywood system. The budget: just 8.8 million AUD. They shot on location in the Northern Territory and then moved the story to New York, flipping the script on culture clash. What happens when a crocodile-hunting bushman lands in the middle of Manhattan? That contrast became the soul of the film. Part 3. Rewriting for the world. There was just one problem: the language. The original Australian version was filled with thick accents and local slang. When American test audiences saw it, many couldn't follow the dialogue. So Hogan and the team did something rare. They re-edited and rewrote the film for international release. 2 versions of the movie were created, one for Australians and one for the rest of the world. They didn't change the story, just the words, to make sure it connected globally. That small move made a huge difference. It turned a local hit into a worldwide success. Part 4. Box office explosion. Crocodile Dundee premiered in Australia in April 1986. It was a hit, but nothing compared to what would happen next. When it opened in the US later that year, it became a phenomenon. The film went on to earn over $328 million worldwide. That's more than 37 times its budget. In 1986, only Top Gun made more money in America. Dundee beat out Aliens, Platoon, The Karate Kid Part 2, and Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It also spent months dominating the box office in the UK, Europe, and Asia. Audiences everywhere loved the mix of adventure, comedy, and heart. They weren't just watching a movie. They were discovering a new kind of hero. Part 5. The Knife, the Man, the Myth. Paul Hogan's performance as Mick Dundee became legendary. He wasn't loud, he wasn't violent, but he was cool, calm, and completely unpredictable. That's not a knife. That's a knife.
That's a knife.
The line became one of the most quoted in movie history. Hogan won a Golden Globe. The film was nominated for the Best Original Screenplay at the Oscars, and suddenly everyone wanted a piece of Crocodile Dundee. 2 sequels followed. One in 1988 and another in 2001. Both had bigger budgets and wider releases, but neither captured the same lightning in a bottle. Still, the character endured through parodies, commercials, and pop culture references for decades. Dundee became more than just a movie role. He became a symbol of Australia, of charm, and of how far one simple idea can go. And last but not least, a legacy that still echoes. So how did a movie with no Hollywood muscle, no franchise power, and no superheroes become one of the biggest hits of the 80s by doing the opposite of what everyone else was doing? It focused on character, on simplicity, on humor that traveled across cultures. And it reminded the world that sometimes the best stories don't come from studios, they come from the middle of nowhere. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more.